Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for joining one of our first community calls, and we're very excited to have our mobile product team with us today. My name is Matthew, and I lead strategy and operations at Argent, and I've been with the team for just over 5 years now. And today's call, we're going to tell you why we're so excited about ZK Sync Era, what we've built for it, what the ecosystem is currently looking like, and what our rollout plans are. And so with me today, I have Ko and Daniel, and I will hand over to them to introduce themselves. And I will give one of them an idea of who should start. Ko, do you want to start?
Sure, happy to start. Hey guys, very nice to meet you. My name is Ko. I'm a product manager here at Argent. I'm here for around, I think, 1 year, more than 1 year now. So very excited to meet you finally, our users. Yeah. Nice to meet you all.
And Daniel?
Also, hi to everyone from my side. My name is Daniel. I'm also part of the product team. And yeah, I mean, before Argent, I spent a lot of time in traditional finance, actually, especially neobanking in different places around the world. And now I'm happy to have switched side to the future, I would say. Excited to be here.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. And so the plan for the call is we're aiming for around sort of 30 minutes of us speaking. We'll try and keep it very quick, but we are very keen to have as many questions as possible. So please, I think you can type the questions. We can see them come in. We'll try and get to as many of them as possible at the end. So please do keep them coming in. And I just have a quick fire question for each of our speakers that I've been told to ask. What keeps you up at night? And Daniel, we will start with you.
Finding the best French toast in the world.
What keeps me up at night? Product releases.
Okay. Well, hopefully we're going to be able to say that they haven't been too painful recently. So, Daniel, do you want to kick things off with the recent Era launch?
Sure. All right. So yeah, I mean, maybe let's start with what Era actually is. I mean, I guess most of you have been following the news in Ethereum world to some degree, but what Era, or ZK Sync Era, the full name is basically a layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum based on zero knowledge proof. So I think that's kind of the official tagline. That's a lot of fancy words, I would say. But what it basically means for users or for all of us is that it helps us make Ethereum more accessible for everyone by basically allowing cheaper or generally also more transactions. One of the keywords in there is the zero knowledge part. So zero knowledge technology is basically what makes it different from a lot of other layer 2 solutions that we might have seen before, specifically optimistic rollups. And there's basically this technology has, I mean, to summarize, it has lots of advantages over the optimistic rollups, for example, along a lot of different dimensions like efficiency, security, and so on. ZK Sync Era also supports native account abstraction, which from our perspective is extremely important to enable kind of a user experience that allows us to onboard the next kind of million, 10 million, hundred of millions of users to basically make it more accessible for the mainstream. And we believe strongly that ZK rollups like Era are ultimately the future for layer 2s and the superior technology, and thus the future for scaling Ethereum.
Thank you very much. And can you just say a quick word about, people may have heard of ZK Sync actually having launched a couple of years ago. They may be a bit confused. So can you just say the difference between Lite and Era?
Yeah, exactly. So a while before ZK Sync Era was launched, there was a launch of ZK Sync Lite, or back then I think it was called ZK Sync 1.0. Both of these are built by the same team, Meta Labs. But I think the main milestone that we are kind of also celebrating with this Era launch is that ZK Sync Era has support for smart contracts, which ZK Sync Lite didn't. And that basically means there is a large kind of ecosystem of decentralized applications that is emergent, which we didn't have for Lite. But it's two separate chains. So basically, having funding or having money on one chain has no implications for the other. They are running independently. At the moment, you also can't bridge between them easily. So there's different, basically you have to onboard to them separately. And both of them are at the moment, available and usable.
Thanks a lot. And Ko, can you just give everyone a little bit more context on kind of where we're coming from as a company, what our mission is, and why mobile matters so much to us? And I think a good start would be to unmute.
There we go. Sure. So yeah, I think the reason why we are interested in Era is really because when you look at layer 2 solutions, it's really the only ZK EVM with native account abstraction support. We can get into the nitty-gritty of that later. That's a short answer. But as a company, hopefully many of the listeners are OG Argent users. But if you know us from like 5 years ago, we started from a mobile app that was really slick and available on Ethereum. Nowhere else, but just really focusing on Ethereum. And we were really, really obsessed as a team to abstract all the complexities that exist in crypto. So we even abstracted away things like seed phrase. There was no seed phrase. We embedded a concept called Guardian. We even paid for gas at the time. And I think there was also, at the time, one tap access to dApps. So you could access like Aave or any dApps, many dApps really, just one tap away. And that was really our mission. However, when the DeFi summer hit, as we all know, the gas went completely crazy. The transaction was really slow, and we realized that basically, in order for us to do that really, really simple experience, we really need to move away from Ethereum, and that is why we started looking to layer 2s as really a new design space where we can, build all that dream wallet experience with simple crypto experience, while not worrying about the legacy from L1. So that is why we look at layer 2 space in many, many roll-ups, like Daniel said. Two of them really stuck out to us, Starknet and ZK Sync, because they have native account abstraction support. And that is where we're today. I believe it was 2 years ago, roughly, that we went on to ZK Sync on mobile. We really believe mobile is a place where there is a really slick and simple experience for crypto. And this moment is a very exciting milestone for us and the ZK Sync, and I think it's the Ethereum community broadly, because it marks a new era on Era where there is a smart contract with native account abstraction on layer 2.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so to just recap that, like we see mobile as being crucial to mainstream adoption of crypto, and we don't believe that existing wallets and their kind of very foundations as externally owned accounts with basically relying on a seed phrase and no other security are what's going to get us there. And so Argent, using smart accounts on these ultra scalable networks, we really believe that's what crypto needs to find a much greater audience in the future. And so, Daniel, can you just talk a little bit about the Era ecosystem as it is today? Because it is still early, but there are some interesting projects emerging.
Sure. So, I mean, as I mentioned, or I think you also summarized before, the smart contract part is what is really interesting about ZK Sync Era, and that means we have an growing ecosystem of dApps and different use cases that one can explore. And what we are looking at here right now is the so-called ecosystem page from Meta Labs, the team behind ZK Sync. And it gives you a good overview to start exploring basically what is available, what different use cases, what projects are live already. So right now there's a filter on basically the projects that are live. There's also an overview of things that are still coming. But when we scroll through it, you can see there's different decentralized exchanges there, bridges, NFT projects. And so there's simply a lot going on, a lot of movement. And we can go in a bit maybe into an example to showcase what we've built specifically for login experience. Let's pick maybe Sync Swap, which is a decentralized exchange. Maybe some of you already heard about it, but decentralized exchange like in other places as well. If we want to connect our Argent wallet, like our Argent mobile wallet here, we would as always go to basically to the connect button in the upper right corner. And then we, we'll see the options to connect. 1 second. So you can see multiple ways to connect, as you've probably seen in other places as well. And you can see what you probably haven't seen before anywhere, the Argent login part. And we click on that, you will see a QR code to scan with your Argent mobile app. Once you do that, I mean, you can't see the app part here in that screen share, but it will ask you to confirm that app connection on the mobile app. And once approved, boom, you're in. Very easy way to connect with the apps. But what is really cool actually about Argent logging here is that it has a memory. So basically, if I log out of SyncSwap here, then I don't know, I do something else and come back and I connect again, I don't have to go through the QR code again, but I'm directly in, which I believe is a very smooth experience, and that is exactly what we are about, right? So we want to make it very easy for everyone to explore the dApp ecosystem, have a smooth experience using these dApps, and yeah, we are really looking forward to give more people access to this and give them a chance to explore it. So check out the ecosystem page. I think we will share the link in the comments. I know also a lot of people are probably waiting for access to the app. So once you get access, keep an eye out for Argent login. But I think that is also a good segue to talk about the rollout.
Yeah, and just before we segue so smoothly, I'm going to interrupt it just to recap that, you know, the expectations for us on Era is everyone will be able to do all the basics that you would expect. The you know, trade simply, cheaply, hold, all the essential security you need, but with the unique capabilities of ZK Sync Era combined with Argent, we can really improve the user experience and security. So things like multi-call to batch lots of transactions together being a big one. So it really will feel, we hope, very different to how you've interacted with crypto in the past and much more familiar to using something like a Robinhood or a Revolut. So that kind of one-tap experience. And that's what we're very keen to bring back to Era. And with Era being a ZK EVM, it's easier for dApps to move over from L1. So a lot of the dApps, you know, are moving, but as Daniel just showed, as well as those kind of existing dApps you're familiar with from Ethereum mainnet, we've got a lot of new and interesting projects emerging, covering everything from trading to games to payments to a wide range of use cases, and will be compatible with them. And yeah, if there's dApp developers watching, please do DM us at Argent HQ, because we would love to work with you closely to kind of improve the experience as much as possible. And on that, so Ko, can you talk a little bit about the rollout process, please?
Sure.
And first, any hints, you know, what's happened so far with the waitlist and how have we approached it?
Sure. So we are live on Era, but with the waitlist. It's been a really successful rollout process. I think we believe we have there's over 350K or 400K over there. And when we reached that point, we quickly realized that we need to really make sure that the rollout is as secure for the user as possible and as smooth as possible. And that is why currently we are enrolling users on a weekly basis instead of opening up the gate all at once. We wanted to make sure that, you know, bear in mind, these chains are still very early. They're in alpha, as well as their accounts with limited functionalities. So that is why we're rolling out on a weekly basis slowly. But we are prioritizing very active Argent users So if you are, already active on Light or Ethereum, any of that Argent mobile app experience, amazing. We will make sure that you will be enrolled as soon as possible and before the time we open up the gate of general availability to everyone. So that is really the process so far has been for us. And for you to sign up to this wait list, I believe we will post the link down in the comment or in the Twitter. But it will be a simple type form. We will click and enter your email that is associated with your account with Argent. And then as soon as you're enrolled, we will send you an email with a very clear instruction of how to add the account, how to fund the account, and what are the exciting dApps that you can check out with Argent, a bit like how Daniel just shows us just now. So this is sort of like the process. And again, I want to stress that I understand that this has been a very patient time for some of the most excited users. We really wanted to make sure that, because the ecosystem is very early, we are rolling out on a cautious basis. But we're looking in a couple of months to open it up, I think. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much. And I think now, we've breezed through some of our key topics, and it'd be interesting to see if we have any questions. So please do leave questions in the chat. And I think the first one is, does ERA help in solving Ethereum's growing gas spike issues? Daniel, do you want to take that?
Sure. So I mean, first of all, generally, yes, it does, simply by the fact of being an L2, right? So I mean, fees are generally lower on CK Sync Era than they are on Ethereum. But what you can see right now, and I guess that's what you're referring to maybe, is if cost spikes on L1 on Ethereum, it tends to happen as well on Era because there is some connection. But I mean, ultimately, it's probably more of a question to the Meta Labs team as well, the developers of CK Sync. But that is certainly the goal, right? So the whole idea behind all L2s, and especially also behind CK rollups, is to make transactions more affordable. Has that been 100% achieved as of now? Probably not, right? So there's still room for improvement, but you can already see the transactions are definitely way, way cheaper than they are on layer 1. So that will definitely get better over time.
Yeah, the networks are evolving quickly, and they have just launched, and then also improvements to mainnet like proto-dank sharding will drastically cut fees as well, which will have a knock-on effect by making L2 even cheaper. And I did say at the start that we would do well. We internally as a team as little jargon as possible, but I'm not going to try and explain proto dank sharding, but it is a big upgrade to the Ethereum protocol that will make things much cheaper. So just looking at another question that we have, I think maybe this one came from Twitter. How user-friendly will your platform be for new users? Will it have a simple and smooth UI, as most platforms have a complicated UI now? Ko, do you want to take that?
Sure, happy to. I think that's the user experience side. To be able to have a very easy experience is extremely important to us, and that is really how Argent started. And I was alluding it to it earlier, but for instance, the sort of original trigger for our team and the founders was that when we were looking at the crypto ecosystem and all the wallets, you relied on this 16-word C phrases, which you have to write down on paper and then store it somewhere. If you lose it, and then you basically lose all of the asset. That's like a friction point number one. And there's also this whole space around you have to on ramp basically put your normal fiat money, dollars or pounds, into crypto, which is an extremely hard process. And also when you interact with dApps, right now you may have to go to desktop, scan it with the QR, and then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, go back. All of this, we saw that as a very, very complex process. And that is exactly why we decided to build the mobile app as it is today. And as a product manager, I, of course, see a lot of still there are many flaws that we want to improve. And I'm very, very open to really talking to users and improve that. But the top goal for us is a simple and secure experience. So I would say, I hope, please maybe, try out the app and do tell us how you think. And I'm very open for DMs, your feedbacks, and so on and so forth. But in principle, yes, of course, that is what we're driving to.
Thanks a lot. And one question is just, when will ZK Sync be added, which I hope we've now covered that. ZK Sync Era is live in Argent, and it is just a matter of us working our way through the pretty chunky wait list that's built up so we can onboard people as smoothly as possible, especially as the network itself is early too. But it is live. We've got users. We're keen to speak to as many of them as possible. If any of our early users are on the call, we would really love you to DM us at Argent HQ with any feedback you have, because it really, really helps us build a better product. So thanks in advance for that. And just some of the questions that, again, I'll address is related to StarkNet. I think it's important to highlight that it is a different product to Argent X on StarkNet. So everything that Ko and Daniel have been working on so far is our mobile wallet for Era. Those, it is a distinct product, but built for some of the same underlying motivations of, one of the two networks we really think can be most impactful in the future, and importantly offer people account abstraction, which lets you build smart accounts, which in turn lets you build much better UX and security in crypto. And then there's another question here on the high gas fees on ZK Sync, but I think we've addressed that. So let me see if there's any others. Will we support more blockchains, and how would this affect our functionality, UX, and position in the DeFi ecosystem? Ko or Daniel, I'm not sure who wants to take a stab at that.
That's a lot of questions coupled into one. So let me answer the first one. Will Argent add support for more blockchains? So this kind of comes back to the earlier question around, how do you see the user experience side? Actually, as a company, we believe more in building great use cases and enabling that and the easy access of it, and less so about which chain because of XYZ. So for us, we are betting on, for mobile layer 2s, that is ZK Sync Era and StarkNet, with a strong belief that in this ecosystem, we have very strong use cases, and there is a native account abstraction support, which, in simple words, has good UX, basically. So at the moment, we are not explicitly choosing to go into a new chain as support for it, rather really doubling down on these two chains that we are live on L2. We will be live on L2, and really take it from there. So that's the first bit. How might this affect?
And so, and if I can just pick up on one of those, because maybe I confused people earlier by the Argent X distinction, because Argent X, our browser wallet, just StarkNet, but we are adding StarkNet to our mobile app as well, which is what Ko just referenced.
Yes.
And then, the rest of the question on how might it affect wallet functionality and UX.
So wallet functionality. So let's take the Ethereum layer 1 Argent Vault, ZK Sync Lite, Era, and StarkNet. Our goal is to reach feature parity, meaning that each and every account should offer some functionality on the foundational basis, and beyond that, of course, some ecosystem has its own advantage. Let's say one ecosystem is strong on DeFi, maybe we'll focus a little bit more on DeFi. Let's say limit or order or DCA, this feature. On the other hand, maybe other ecosystem may be stronger on gaming, then we may offer a little bit more on gaming. So there will be like the best of ecosystems use cases we will focus, but the foundational things like security stuff, of course, we want to make sure that there is a catch up to all of it. So yeah.
Cool.
Maybe to add to what Coach just said. I mean, keep in mind, ultimately, what we are building here is not only for tomorrow or for the next week or the next month or the next year, right? We are ultimately building on a whole, I mean, you could say to some degree the future, right? So maybe in the future, there is a place where it doesn't even matter what chain you are on. because it's ultimately a technology that is in the background, right? So we obviously, as Ko said, we are keeping an open eye on it, and we are looking around. But what is ultimately at our heart is basically giving people access to use cases that matter, right? And that is the main driver behind our decision making, and not whether it is this layer 2 or this layer 2, right? It's like, is there real value in it, and can people actually do something there? Yeah.
Cool. And sorry, I'm just looking at some other questions that have come in. One we've just had is, will Argent Login offer something similar to a web wallet? So a new user can connect to a new wallet with one click. Potentially that means, can a new user connect to a new dApp with one click? If that might be the right interpretation there. Yeah, the user is just clarifying the question. I think they do mean, can someone connect to a new dApp in one click? Ko or Daniel?
So happy to answer that. I think more in touch with the login part. So one click, yes. So that's the vision. We want to make sure that it's super easy. In fact, as Daniel showed, if you log in once in one dApp, if you're on the same browser to another dApp, you just open the phone. So you don't need to click on an even desktop. So that's that. But the difference, of course, is that web wallet is a separate wallet from Argent mobile wallet. So you're interacting with like two separate accounts. I would just probably want to clarify that. Web wallet, you enter email, and then you have an account that is not connected to mobile just yet. So that's the difference. Argent login is for the mobile app for Era. Hopefully that clarifies, but please reply in the comments.
And someone asking for any early alpha on when Starknet on mobile?
Pretty soon.
Soon, I guess, is the answer. I know no one wants to hear it, but
I think that's most questions. I'm just checking if there's any. Okay. I am slightly glad I'm not answering this one. So we've introduced using biometrics instead of seed phrases. Looks super cool. Can you please explain the actual mechanism going behind this to make this possible? I'm not sure. Yeah.
So I think
maybe that's a jumping off point for sort of how we do recovery differently at Argent.
So I see two things here: biometric, then seed phrases. So actually, the biometric, so it's two separate things. The bit that's related to the biometric is actually more of an additional way to, to unlock your phone. Instead of passcode, you can use biometric. That is nothing to do with the sort of account at the blockchain level. There's second topic, which is seed phrases. The way we abstract the seed phrase is not with biometric, but with account abstraction. So all of that is happening at blockchain level. Actually, these are two separate things. So you could consider that we have two weapons that is stacked on top of each other to guard your wallet. One is the blockchain, one is biometric. They're not related. Just I hope that makes sense as a general answer. Yeah.
Cool, thanks a lot. And another question is, will there be a swap function on Era like on Argent X?
Yeah, I can take that one. So again, no dates, no big promises, but this is something, we are aware that a swap function is a very popular feature. We also have it on our vault, like in the vault part of our mobile app. So it's certainly something we are looking into, and we will have at some point, but it depends all on timing, the ecosystem. So a lot of things that have to actually be taken in account here. So I can't give you a date for it, but at some point, yes.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. So we're coming up to half an hour now, and we like to keep these kind of as concise as possible. So I think we may wrap up there. I'm just checking for any other questions, but I think that's really covered the essentials: why Era, who Argent, who we are as a team, what we're trying to do, and when people can slowly begin to get access. Co, could you just repeat how people can sign up to the waitlist, because it's definitely not too late to join?
Sure. Waitlist link should be in the comment down, and or Twitter. So please go to @ArgentHQ, correct? Twitter handle. Yeah. So wherever you're watching this, if you're on Twitter, it's there, and it should be a super straightforward process. But make sure that email is associated with the Argent mobile app you sign up with. So yeah, so make sure that's correct. Otherwise, we can't.
That's for existing users, right?
Yeah, it's for existing users. And if you're not user today, please download the wallet first, and then you have the email.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Co and Daniel. And thank you so much to everyone who has joined the call today. We really appreciate it, especially the great questions. Please do keep all feedback coming, as we mentioned earlier. It's really, really important. We're kind of excited by what these new networks allow us to do in crypto that weren't possible before. And so it really matters to us to see what you're finding useful and what we can do better. So thank you very much. So I think that's all for now. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining.